and we are learning mountains from that. They are small. They are very small. Some of them are so small that, and they're clever. They're actually usually surrounded by a little bit of a plastic covering or a casing. If the insidious ones are actually colored to look like tissue, so you'd be looking right at it, and it just looks, like a bloody pink red tissue, and they're shaped irregularly like tissue would be. They're not so uniform. The original implants were like little medicine pills or little cylindrical shapes, and quite often would have little wires dangling from them that would be a real giveaway in an X-ray. But the newer ones are very organic looking.
So there's no way to get rid of it, or even to know that you might have it. If you wake up in the morning and they've injected it, you might not even feel it while they do it in your sleep, and you get up and you're walking around and then you start hearing voices.
Or whatever the implant is designed to do. Some are designed to cause pain, some are designed to simply track you, and some are designed to monitor body functions and relay that information outward, a remote physical, if you will. There's all kinds of implant technologies, and they all have a severe threat factor associated with them. We're able to, or at least I've been able to develop some means of detecting them short of an X-ray, certain types of implants anyway, and there are some things that can be done to defeat them without removing them, but they generally prove to be impractical. For example, if you can block the signals that activate them or their signals out, then you basically defeated them. But to do that requires that you completely shield that part of the body, say with aluminum foil or something, and you look kind of silly with aluminum foil wrapped around your head. And that's exactly why we have all these jokes about aluminum foil hats. Mm-hmm. In the early 50s, there was a man who walked into the New York Department Police Station and complained that somebody had implanted electrodes in his head and was reading his mind. And they just assumed he was crazy, of course. Mm-hmm. He was later found dead, and there was all kinds of implants in his head. And he had been wearing aluminum foil hats. And that was the only way he was able to escape his tormentors.
Now, I know people who do that. I know a lady who sleeps with a steel bow on her head at night, and she can hear the pings off of her steel hat. So people are desperate to shield themselves. Aluminum foil, mylar blankets, do they do any good?
I'm not so certain about mylars because it's so very thin, and it's really a plastic material, less metallic. I suppose the right mylar would have some benefit.
What about the voice-to-skull, the artificial hearing, and the microwave hearing? Those they don't need to have implants.
That's right. There's way too many ways. I mean, if I were to break it down in the simplest terms, I would say almost any radiated energy can, in one way or another, be used. Actual sound can be projected to a space so that only the person in that space hears that sound. And it's otherwise what we call silent sound. In fact, that's its official name, is silent sound. There's ways to incorporate embedded messages into existing audio systems. So if you have a stereo, you could be listening to regular stereo music. Everybody else hears the stereo music, but if it's done correctly, the victim will hear additionally some other sound, even maybe when the stereo seems to be off and not broadcasting anything. There's ways of doing it with radio waves or microwaves, and there's out of all of these methods, there's ways that involve a single signal to cause the effect, as well as ways that involve two signals that work when they cross. As one signal crosses the other, it causes a kind of an interference pattern that is perceived as sound. So there's just method after method after method. If we took a look at all the list of patents we know with mind control, there's probably more in that category than any other.
We're getting people who pop up and who know this is happening to them. They realize, hey, I'm hearing voices, I'm a target, But then, what about the people who've already committed suicide, have woken up in the morning and said, hey, I'm having a bad day, I'm a loser. They go along with the program, they commit suicide, or they go out and they commit homicide. Why is mass mind control being conducted? And I think I know why, and I mean, we've discussed this a little bit earlier in the interview. The one world government, I believe, has something to do with that. That's why this is happening on such a grand scale. And there's a few of us who are fighting back, who are resisting this. And that's, I pick it up every night, and I'm not going with the program. I'm not giving up Christ. I'm not denouncing the Jewish nation. I'm not denouncing God. I'm not going to turn against minorities. And I'm not for a one world government. And I say it right out. Is this all part of that? Can we implement that technology and mind control into this movement where you said earlier the Antichrist may even move in?
Well, yes, and again, we go back to what we've already discussed, and it's definitely a movement. It serves the benefit of the government currently, and there are people within our government currently who are working on the overthrow of the government towards the next version of the United States, which will enable a handing of the torch to the one world government. And they've already written the Constitution for that. It's actually in Fatal Rebirth. I've gotten a copy. I got it from another author who is Bill Holden, author of Behold the Pale Horse. And he's subsequently been killed under mysterious circumstances by law enforcement. But the government definitely has an interest in this, and in fact, one of the DEW category, directed energy weapons of most insidious danger, is one called HAARP, H-A-A-R-P, high frequency, I like to say high altitude.
It's high auroral, isn't it? High active auroral frequency research or something?
High frequency active auroral research project, but I would say high altitude because it's easier to remember. In any event, that actually has the ability to bounce what could be used in mind control applications is a signal, bounce that signal off of the ionosphere to any portion of the northern hemisphere, most of it anyway. And they're building these stations all around the world. And they also have other uses for example, manipulating weather for weather war, where you can decimate a territory with a superstorm, such as we saw Katrina. Katrina veered suddenly from all expected predictions and gained in strength at a time when it should have been losing strength. And then it slammed into Louisiana. So earthquakes can be created by HAARP. We sincerely believe, and in my newsletter I actually show the sort of a visual scientific depiction of how that would actually function. But HAARP is capable of doing so much more. We go back to the 50s when a science advisor under Eisenhower said that it would be possible to develop a technology that would allow the control of every living brain on the planet. And that person went on to be important to the Reagan Bush administration and advised the Department of Defense. Ultimately, what was started was a series of projects that used the same kinds of signals in actual mind control operations. And most of these were done under the CIA or the DOD's umbrella. But HAARP